Welcome to Crossplay Compatible. I'm your host, Carrington. I'm from Real Dudes Podcast, and with me I have a plethora of hosts from other shows. Guys, introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Daniel James Barker from Game Science, the podcast.
What's up? I'm Tyler Kirby from Better Than Static, the podcast.
Hey, I'm Chris Osborne from Play Comics. Guess what? That's a podcast.
And I'm Roger Reichert. I'm from the Gamerheads podcast.
Awesome. Glad that we can all be here today, especially a representative from Real Dudes, because we weren't there for the first time. But we're here. You guys are here, and we have a fantastic topic to cover tonight. Roger, how about you remind everyone what the topic is? Because I know what it is, but I know I'm going to word it wrong.
No problem. So yeah, the topic that we'll be discussing tonight is, are video game price drops unfair to early adapters of the game?
And I think a perfect example of this is when, and I think it goes the other way around as well. You know, our price increase is unfair to people that maybe aren't able to get into a game early enough. I think it goes both ways. But I think what the topic stems from really is when, let's say we pre-order a game, it's $60, and then right when it comes out, it can drop to maybe $40. You know, what do you guys think on that?
I know I pre-order very few games, but it's because like I wait for reviews, but that's just like my style. Like I never jump on fully on a game until it's been like tested. So I'm a little like off on this subject, but like it is unfair because let's say you're super hype about this game, Carrington. You pay the $60, pre-order it, and it flops. I'm out no money because I waited for it for the review, and it flopped. I don't know. It's just that's how the industry is, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good example of this game of this what you're talking about there, Tyler. The game, I don't know if you guys ever played this game called Defiance. So it came.
Are you referring to the game that was also a sci-fi TV show?
Yes.
Yes. I've never played the game, but I watched the TV show. Okay.
The TV show was good. The game was good too. But when it first came out, it was $60 and full of bugs and not the kind that you shoot. And people just were totally, upset about that. They spent $60 on this game. And this game came out right around when the first Destiny game came out as well. So I think the first Destiny game came out like a week later or something like that. And I picked it up when it went on sale, and literally so the game released in April. I think I picked it up in November and it was $10, and now it's free to play. So, I mean, to me, I don't know. I have a problem with, I don't have a problem when the game drops like 2 years, into the life cycle, I guess. But when you have a game that came out in April and then in November it drops to $10, that's pretty ridiculous.
I can definitely agree with that. And speaking from experience as well, I didn't play Defiance or even own it, but like I said, I watched a TV show. But I was and still am a huge fan of Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO that BioWare made. And when that game first came out, it was $60 plus a $15 subscription per month. And that was my buy-in when that game came out back in 2010, I believe. And now you can access the game and its expansions all free to play.
Yeah.
And I'm out on all that money. I was a subscriber for probably 2 or 3 years, paying $50 a month or $15 a month. I'm not going to see that money back at all.
I don't know. What does everybody else think?
Well, I'll jump in here with something. I mean, I know several of us play on Xbox One, and I have an Xbox Live, an Xbox Gold prescription. And every so often, I actually don't really know what the timeline is. They release games for free that would otherwise cost money. So there are plenty of games that I've gotten for free or discounted prices, and that's only because I pay $10 a month. And I mean that's kind of nuts, I think. And I mean, if you look at a game like Overwatch had like a couple of like promos where they actually like reduce the price for like a week or a weekend and then put it back in the normal price. Or they've had like free weekends where they would have people play and then like get hooked on the game and then buy it after that free weekend was over. So I guess that's kind of nuts to me that game creators can just do that and just create this need for a game and sort of force people to buy it because they've played it or have allowed people to buy it at a reduced price for a specific allotted piece of time. And then anybody who, for whatever reason, couldn't buy it in that time frame has to pay the full price, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so I also subscribe to the Game Pass on Xbox as well, and so one thing that they have is that all Xbox first party games will be basically available to you day one. But the way Game Pass works is it's like Netflix. So the game is available to you to play until they pull that game off. So like, for instance, Sea of Thieves right now is free. If you, well, not free. You have to pay a monthly subscription for it. I think it's like $10 a month or something like that. And then you get to play Sea of Thieves until they pull the game. And then I think the idea behind that is, well, by that time you'll be so hooked into the game that you'll want to go out and buy it. But you know, I'm hopeful that by the time, like if I'm hooked into a game that I'm playing on like Game Pass and they pull it, that by the time that I'm going to go buy it, it's used and I can buy it used and I don't have a problem.
Well, also, like, so we were talking about free-to-play weekends. I think that this is me playing the other side of the factor is, for me, a person that is very indecisive about games and only wants to wait for reviews of whether I'm going to get a game, those opportunities are great because, like, I played like, one game that I actually play still that I played on a free-to-play weekend was Rocket League, and I didn't know if I'd like the game or not, and played it that whole weekend. Like, me and my squad of guys, we played it all weekend, and then I ended up paying the money, like the full price of Rocket League after that free-to-play weekend. I think it's a great, yes, sometimes it is broken, but I think it's also a really good thing of not just for game developers to get money, but for people to realize, hey, I do like this game, and I think that's why we need this. I think that's why it's useful. Granted, the system is still broken in some ways because some people get a way better deal than others. Like I paid $50 for GTA 5 3 years after it came out. And now, just now, it's dropped down to $30. So, like, now it's 1 year older. Why did it take such a drop in that 1 year?
Well,
why not? Why not have that drop sooner?
And you know, Tyler, you can get it even used cheaper than that. I got my.
My copy was used and it was $50 from GameStop.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, they ripped you off, man.
I mean, that's true. It's true. But I played the game and I made content with the game. Like, it worked out. But that price drop of a year should not have been that steep.
Yeah, I agree.
What about you, Chris? You've been pretty quiet. And what's your take on it?
I generally play at best a generation behind, but so I don't really pre-order things. I don't play things when they come out, And I haven't paid full price for a game, at least full release price in years. But part of that is also knowing that if there's any kind of online gameplay that would be fun, I'm going to miss out on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm first experiencing the game for 20 or 30 bucks. I'm getting the Game of the Year edition with a bunch of expansions thrown on with it. I'm getting, like, as far as I'm concerned, brand new out of the box with a bunch of bug fixes and stuff. But I also don't have any of the online community. I mean, I've got Street Fighter 4, but I basically can't go play online because everybody on there has figured it out. And they're just so much better than me. It's ridiculous.
And Chris, so I have a question about that then too. So like one thing that I think that early adapters, I mean, when you buy a game when it first comes out, like you're kind of like you mentioned, like you're part of this community, but not only just part of the community of like online, but almost like a community of like the water cooler talk, right? Where people are talking about this game and it has a lot of buzz. And outside of the PUBGs or the Fortnites, a lot of these games will get a lot of buzz for a couple months and then it's gone and it's on to the next game. Do you feel like you miss out on some of that as well? Like that interaction of just gamers when they're talking about new games?
I do. I mean, I was hearing people talk about how amazing Portal was for years before I managed to grab a copy for myself finally, because I didn't have anything I could play it on for a while. Or like sports games, it's bad of a reputation as they have for their crazy updates. I mean, like I really love baseball, but the newest baseball game I have is 2013, so my team's the Braves. They're horrible.
I mean, they're still horrible right now, so
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Do you have MLB The Show 13?
I do.
Or is it something different? Okay. Just out of curiosity. Now, there was also a trend of it working in reverse, where a game will start out really cheap and will continue to grow in price. You think that's fair as well? And I'll give you guys a couple examples. I bought Minecraft when it was in alpha, and at the time it was $5. I looked up the price just now on my phone for the same version that I got, because I have all versions, but the PC version is $27 now. So it rose in price from $5 to $27. And so early access will pull that trick as well, where it'll start off cheap and continue to grow in price, such as Minecraft. I have another game called We Happy Few. I believe Ark did the same thing as well, and PUBG also did it on PC back in the day. So do you guys think that's fair, where if you are early enough to get in on this before it becomes a thing, you get it super cheap? But if you wait too long, when the whole world knows about it, well, now you're paying 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks.
Well,
Go ahead, Daniel.
yeah, let me play devil's advocate for that. I mean, a lot of games now will come out when they're in like alpha or beta stages, and they're cheaper or sometimes even free. And especially when money is involved with that, I think that people actually latching onto a game and buying it when it's in its early stages probably actually will contribute to the quality of the game as time goes on, because you see a lot of like smaller game creating companies that will release these games and then release them at a reduced price, and the people that are buying these are kind of gambling a little bit with buying that. But also I think that having a large group of people actually purchase the game early on probably like contributes to how good the game is going to be later on. And I think in a lot of cases we might not see the games that we see now post like beta stages if they didn't have that network of people buying it at a reduced price early on.
Well, yeah, but it could also, I'll play devil's advocate to that. It could also like hurt the game too, right? So like if a game comes out in beta and they charge you money and all those people say, this is terrible, it's riddled with bugs, this is awful. like it could really hurt the reputation of the game, and nobody would go out and play that game then too.
Well, if the game's coming out and it's that horrible in alpha, it was going to come out as a final game and still be that horrible.
Yeah,
That's what I think. I mean, you're getting, if they're starting it off super cheap, they're doing that with the expectation that you're going to talk about it online, whether it's good or bad, and so they can get kind of a review on it. Even if you're not officially going and telling them, you're going on Twitter or you're talking to your friends and saying, "Hey, this game is pretty cool. You should go play it."
yeah.
So
I mean,
that's how that starts too for those early access games. 'Cause that's how I heard about Minecraft. Was a friend told me about it. He's like, "Hey man, this game's awesome. You should get it." Oh, okay. And I'm like I said, when I got it, it was still an alpha. It was maybe about 3 to 4 months before it made it switch to beta. And then when they switched to beta, the price did jump up. I think it jumped up to $10 at the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm okay with that. As long as it's not riddled with bugs and you're, just trying to make an easy buck. I know that I've seen some games, some like Jules Watson from a TUI. He's done this where he'll have a game out on a Switch or Nintendo 3DS, and he'll have it for the first week cheaper than like 2 weeks from now, right? Or the after that first week, introductory prices is gone. And I bought games that way because one, I mean, I just wanted to play it, and two, it's going to be cheaper. And if I'm gonna want to play it, I'm going to buy it cheaper. And I think that's his way of like rewarding people that are early adapters, versus where people buy the game full price and then 3 or 4 months later it drops in price.
I mean, that's good business too. Like he's getting high traffic at the beginning because the price difference, and just trying to get hype about his game. Like,
yeah,
you can't fault those people for their marketing and business styles. Like, we all got to make money. We all got our jobs. But to go back to the if it's riddled with glitches and everything and bugs, that's when the problem hits. But with Minecraft, had it where Carrington got it cheaper and he had to deal with those bugs, I think that compensates for his cheaper price of Minecraft, because he had to deal with those. It's it's kind of evens out.
So
So
what about video games where they will release a free beta, but once the official game comes out, people actually have to pay full price for it? So then the people who are playing the beta don't just get to play the game for free after that.
I wonder how many of those people will actually buy the game. I mean, and those that played the free beta will actually buy the game. I don't know.
I know for me, speaking from experience, a lot of times I do buy the game, but that is because if I sign up for a beta or if I download the beta, I'm already interested in that game and I'm already going to be invested in it. And the only reason I'm playing the beta is to help improve the game on that level. I'm not there to just play the game for free and use it as a demo.
Well, you're a pretty nice guy, Carrington.
Yeah, you're probably the gold standard for gamers right there in that sense.
Because I know a lot of people that use the betas as demos, but the way I think about it, it's a beta, so there's going to be a lot of bugs and problems and issues, and that's what the beta is there for. So I can't judge the game or base the game off of just the beta. For example, Sea of Thieves is one. I've played it since it was closed alpha, and the final product is completely different than when it was in closed alpha. But I already made a decision. I'm probably going to get this game. I'm just here to make this game the best game it can be, giving my opinions and listing all the bugs that I experience as I play through the game.
And I'm playing a beta game right now. Fortnite is still in beta. Granted, it's almost a full-fledged game, and they keep updating it and keep patching it and stuff. When it gets to be a full-fledged game, I'm pretty sure it's still going to be free, though, which I think is awesome. Because, they're making all their money from microtransactions, but I think if you're going to be a developer and you're going to constantly work on your game as people review it, I think your free beta works the best. Don't make your people pay for it because your people are basically working for you, telling you what's wrong with the game.
Well, I mean, when
and-
you're talking about Fortnite, I mean, Fortnite Battle Royale is free, but also Fortnite Save the World is, you still have to pay for that.
which it's still early access, right?
Yeah. So I feel like what they're doing is they created the Battle Royale just so that they could get people more interested in the Save the World content. But yeah, what do you think about that?
So at first I thought that once they got the Save the World out of early access, it would be free to play, but I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. Have you guys heard anything about that?
I haven't, and I do wonder how many people have actually bought the PvE aspect, which is Save the World, as opposed to just using the free-to-play PvP version of the game. Because I haven't bought the game. I just have the Battle Royale mode, and that's for both Xbox One and PC.
It's hard. So here's what Fortnite has like the trouble of is their free to play game is stinking amazing. Like it's so good. I love it so much that it's almost deterred me from wanting to play the Save the World because I'm having too much fun in their free game.
Also, do you think they're polling like they're polling traffic from other games like PUBG by making this free to play battle royale type game that's similar in a lot of ways?
Oh, absolutely. I think so.
I mean, yeah,
Absolutely.
they're riding that traffic, but you got to think PUBG had such I don't know, I don't want to say a flop, but coming to Xbox and console was such a big gap from PC that Fortnite's like, well, we got to slip in here and catch these people that are going to leave this style of game. So it's like they've almost saved that, like the battle royale genre for like console. Like what other console battle royale game is there besides PUBG and Fortnite?
And two, keeping it on topic, PUBG, you have to pay, I think it's $20 at the moment to buy into it.
Isn't it
Whereas
30?
Fort-
I think it's 30.
Maybe it's 30. I don't know. I know it was
It's 25, or at
It's
least that's what I got on Amazon for.
okay. Because I know, and that game's still not finished yet. Staying on topic, and when I first got it on PC, I believe it was $20, and I think it was $20 when I first got it on Xbox. I could be wrong, but I don't really remember. But that game technically is still in beta, so you're buying a product that's not even finished yet.
And yeah, when I bought it, like I tried it out and I gave it a good shot, and everybody was like, "So is it good?" I said, I mean, it's PUBG, and like, I didn't bash it or anything. I just said, it's not optimized for console yet, and a lot of people that play games that have that fine print of, hey, we're still in beta, will immediately trash a game no matter what. And I try to give the games the benefit of the doubt if they're saying they're still in beta. Like if you're still trying to make your game good, I'm all for it. But if you're so to speak, finished with it and it's still trash, that's when I start to bash it.
And I think in regards to PUBG, they're not a AAA company, but they're not an indie studio either. And so I think a lot of people also expect a game like PUBG to fix all the bugs, fix all the issues, fix all the problems, and then they look at Fortnite. Whereas Fortnite is made by Epic Games, which is a AAA developer, so they do have the experience of making a game that might be a little less on the buggy side of things. And I do think a lot of people forget that. We're talking a studio who doesn't have a whole lot of experience versus a studio that has all the experience in the world. The Fortnite, you're talking to people who have made Quake. So just keep that in mind also.
Well, and that PUBG is on the same platform. It's on Epic's platform. So I think that's the ironic part. I mean, it's their engine that they built.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what you meant. Okay, yeah.
That's what I meant.
true.
I didn't mean
It
platform. I
uses-
meant engine.
Yeah, it uses the Unreal Engine, which is crazy to think about. They use the same engine.
Yeah.
So of course, Fortnite's going to be better because they created the engine that it works on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and they're more familiar with it. They know its absolute bounds and things like they know it better. I mean, they're gonna be able to put their game to the max on that engine.
And I mean, if you just look at, gameplay of PUBG versus Fortnite, I mean, PUBG's pretty buggy at this point, and Fortnite not quite so much.
Well, hold on. I mean, I do a lot. I play a lot of Fortnite, and granted, it's not to the degree of PUBG, but I mean, they're still fixing things. Like if you switch between your inventory too fast, you have this bug where you can't pick up a gun, and you have to like switch to your pickaxe and then back to a gun, and it fixes it. Or like sometimes your shots will go through somebody and not hit, and I think it takes a lot of gameplay to figure those out.
That's
like
true.
Epic's
That's
still
true.
still not ironed everything out. But it's still there. They're still buggy, and I think we brought up the fact that Epic is a full-fledged dev company. PUBG's not there yet. I think we
Right.
have to. You kind of have to weigh them. Like, okay, we need to give PUBG more time, like we said. And also, you got to bring to the fact that Fortnite's not there yet. It's not perfect yet, but it will get there quicker than PUBG, I think.
That's true. That's true. I mean, PUBG is going more for like this like realistic kind of like feel in their game, and the Fortnite is a lot more like stylized than PUBG is.
Oh yeah. It's got its very specific style, and I like that style. For me, it fits
Right.
me really well.
So, in regards to games that drop price, then, especially if it's within the first year, do you think that those that bought the game digitally, because I don't know how you could do this physically, but if you bought the game digitally, do you think that you should get a discount or you should get some of your money back?
Yes, because here's my thinking on it. The whole deal with digital versus physical, digital was supposed to be cheaper from the get-go because a developer who makes something available digitally does not have to pay for not development costs.
The third party, the middleman?
Yeah, the middleman. Yeah, the middleman. The distribution costs. They don't have to pay the factory to make the discs and the cover art and all this stuff, and they don't have to pay for the game to be in the stores because they do have to. A developer does pay those fees. It's not on Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo for that stuff. It's on the developer themselves to pay those fees. And then once a game sells, then it gets distributed all across the board. It goes to like say Walmart, then it goes to whoever made the physical copy of those games, whatever factory made them. Then it goes to let's say Microsoft, and then a cut goes to the publisher, and then finally the developer gets a cut. And then, but if it's digitally, it's supposed to take away a bunch of those middle people. It's not supposed to. So literally, the developer, the publisher, and whatever platform is on are supposed to get the money. So I don't get why digital games are still $60. That's something that I still wonder about.
I mean, there's really only one simple reason. It's because people are still paying it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point, Chris.
True.
I mean, yeah, because if they weren't like, so if you change that price, your hard copies are going to go out the window. Like nobody's going to buy them anymore. Do you think
And
that would hurt the industry?
I love having hard copies of my stuff. Like when I got my PS3, I got it well after it came out, but before PS4 was out, just to give a little bit of a time frame. And there were games on there that the guy had digitally. And I went out, and I mean, granted, I bought them used, but I went out and bought physical copies just because if anything happened to that PS3, I wanted to make sure that I'd have the games later.
I do think you're in an interesting position, Chris, as opposed to the rest of us, because you do, like I said, wait roughly a generation. Because if let's say I buy digital games and I give you my Xbox, you're not going to have access to those digital games, and I don't have really physical copies to give you because I do buy most of my games digitally now.
I know the only two games that I've bought physical copies were GTA and Overwatch. And GTA was the main thing, is just like my internet sucked. So like it would have taken forever to download it digitally. Like it would have taken up longer than just from the physical copy. But also, like, I'm not like Chris, you're a collector. You're a gamer and a collector too.
Yeah.
So you like having that physical thing, say, hey, this is my collection. This is what I'm working on. Like I'm not a casual gamer. I like the game a lot, and I'll try a lot of different games. But let's say there's a game if there's a game that I wasn't for sure on, like I didn't know if I'd keep it or not, I will buy the hard copy because I can always return it and at least get some of my money back. Like if I buy a digital game and keep it too long, I don't get nothing. I don't get anything back.
And I will say too, for me personally, I was burned on Halo 5 because as soon as I got the game, I got it physically. I got the game, popped it in. Then I had to, in the age we live in now, unfortunately, even if you have a disc, it has to download the entire game. Mm-hmm. So I had to download the game. And then on top of that, I had to do like a 20 gig update or something ridiculous like that because the physical copy does not have the multiplayer aspect on the game loaded on the disc. So I had to wait even longer just to play the game. And I do think it's a fault of just the gaming industry right now. Physical copies literally are only there to confirm if you have the game. Like when you pop in a PS4 or Xbox disc, the only thing it's looking for is like, oh, yep, it's Halo 5 or it's Horizon Zero Dawn or whatever. And then it loads basically a digital copy from the hard drive. And I do think like it's a fault of the gaming industry right now. We're almost at a fault moving away from physical copies.
Well, and I mean, yeah, I play on Xbox One, and the only physical copy that I bought was Doom, and I mean that's actually the reason I bought an Xbox, because I really, really wanted to play Doom, and I brought my Xbox home for Christmas, and I wanted to play Doom with my brother, who's like 8 years older than me, and he introduced me to the original Doom, and I wanted to play it with him, the Doom 2016 game with him, and I brought my Xbox home, and I forgot to bring the physical copy of it, and even though all that data was on the Xbox wouldn't let me play it because I didn't have that physical copy with me.
And like I said, I do think that's really interesting and at a fault of the gaming society we live in today, because when you first popped Doom into your Xbox, Daniel, it downloaded the entire game to its hard drive.
Yeah.
But you had no access to it unless you had the physical copy. But on the flip side, if you had bought it digitally, yeah, you would have had that opportunity to play it with your brother when you brought it home. Right. But if you were to sell that Xbox, then the person who you sold your Xbox to, now they, like such as Chris, he wouldn't have access to Doom, even though it is physically on the hard drive.
Right, because he is not. Well, any game, even if it was downloaded, he wouldn't have access to because he doesn't have the account.
Right,
that's connected to it.
And so, do you guys think it's fair in the society that we're seemingly heading towards, that not developers, but rather, the big three, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, to cause such a shift to where we're moving digitally, but they're trying to make sure games, that the whole premise of I can resell a game or I can take it back, GameStop's basic business model is becoming outdated itself.
Well, they've also shot themselves in the foot by screwing people over with resale. Like my buddy took his Xbox One back and only got $100 for it. When there's probably you could have at least got $150 out of it. I don't know. I have no pity for GameStop because they've done it themselves, but I do pity the people that buy a hard copy and get burnt, so they want to get their money back. Like those are the people I pity.
I mean, some of this like depends on the game, I guess, because there are games that you could sell your console and then buy another one and then log into your account and still have that game. And there are other games where that's just not going to happen because you don't have the data on your Xbox anymore. For example, like let's compare Doom and Overwatch. Like Overwatch is like everything that you've done in that game is totally online, and everything that you've done in Doom is totally aside from the online aspect. I'm talking about just like the game mode aspect is on the console. When I was a kid, I actually deleted all of my brother's saves on his console. And I mean, he has no way of getting those back because this is the original PlayStation, and he had no ways of getting those back other than playing the game again, because that was stuff that was on his console. By the way, this was not something I did maliciously. This was something I did as a stupid kid. Just playing around with the main menu on the PlayStation. So please don't hate me, anybody.
You're gonna get roasted in the comments of this episode.
Yeah.
So, Chris, what do you think, being in a different position than the rest of us? Do you feel like the industry needs to stay the same? Are you going to find a way to move with the changes when you upgrade to the next generation?
I mean, I'm basically going to have two choices here. Either I can buy things when the server is still up and updates are available, so I can, get the actual finished game and not the like Tony Hawk 6, whatever it was, that was basically released as a pre-alpha on day one and then had a giant patch to finish it. Or I can stay with all my old stuff that doesn't need updates and just never play anything new ever again.
Here's a question I have for you. So I don't know how easy it is to find old games and stuff, because I mean I don't actively go out searching for a lot of them. Do you think as we move to a next generation, do you think this is so like Xbox One and PS4, do you think it'll be as easy to find games that you can like hard copy games for you to play when you move up the next generation?
Oh, I mean, I'll definitely be able to find them. Finding them's not going to be the problem. There's always going to be somebody's parents getting rid of games when they go off to college or when they do something stupid around the house. I mean, we all know people that it's happened to. The yard sale of put all the things that you want in this box and something just somehow doesn't get into the box. But it's going to get to the point where if I wait too long to get a game for PS4, I'm going to have a disc that's basically a coaster, because all it's doing is unlocking this digital content that isn't available anymore. Like, back when I used to go to the flea market all the time, I forget the name of the game now, but there's a first-person shooter on PS3 that the entire server is down. You can't play it. The disc is worth basically nothing. GameStop was still selling the disc last time I went in there. people were selling it at the flea market for like 10, 15, 20 bucks, but you can't do anything because all it does is connect you to an online server that doesn't exist. And that's what all these PS4 and PS5 games are going to get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a huge shame. And I was thinking too, in regards to you, Chris, because our show, the Real Dudes Podcast, we're an indie gaming podcast. And because of what we've mentioned before already, distribution costs can get pretty insane. Indie developers are moving to digital only releases. And I just realized like you will miss out on a lot of great indie games if you wait too long. Have you thought about that as well?
It's just something that I've been willing to accept, I guess is the super blunt way of putting it.
Gotcha. Because right now, my game of the year is Celeste, and I don't think that has a physical release right now. I could see it having one eventually. I can't remember if it does or not because I bought it digitally. But most indie games like that have such a huge impact on the internet, for the most part, have digital only releases because the developer can't afford a physical release.
Yeah, but there's a good thing. I mean, that's why limited run is, really cool, right? Because they'll take typically a digitally only game and then do a limited run, a physical copy of that, which is like the collector's dream or nightmare, I guess.
Nightmare in my case.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they always release it when I'm at work.
Oh, yeah. But the one thing that I wonder about the digital copy of games, though, is with net neutrality and the basically the dismantling of net neutrality. If they can throttle, your download speeds and even just your online play, I wonder how that's going to affect game developers and their stance of the ability to put games online. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if that does affect that.
And I will say in regards to that, I mean, some companies kind of sort of have data caps as well. I doubt anyone here has a data cap. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be here. But I mean, there's some companies out there that have data caps that are 200-300 gigs, and you think, well, that's a lot of data. But I see it all the time where they're like, I have to plan out when I can download a game, when I can delete a game, and all that stuff, because they literally cannot afford, as far as data is concerned, to play games.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so many games, like downloading even updates is so much. Like, I've been playing the Overwatch event recently, the Overwatch Retribution event, and the update for that was like 19 gigabytes. And that's huge.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like most games.
Yeah. I have a question for you guys. How do you, so like in the question of like, is this fair? Do you think like that the pretty much complete disappearance of like renting games has contributed to just this whole thing of video games being like bought right off the bat by people at full price?
Well, I think that with like Game Pass, like that service that acts like like Netflix, and PlayStation has this service as well. I forget what they're called, like Play Now, I think it is called. I think that's replacing that whole idea of like renting games.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it is interesting because that was a way that people could go out and just try a game out. I mean, I don't know if you guys have Family Videos. I don't know if that's just a Midwest thing. But Family Video does certainly still rent out games, and actually you can buy games from them, like previously played obviously games. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I think that with the Blockbusters going away, and can't think of any of the other rental places right now, but
I know here in Kentucky, Redbox is getting more. I get they're expanding to games and
That's
not just
true.
movies.
Oh, so yeah. See, in the Midwest, they have lots of games. Actually, they usually have like brand new games, but it's kind of expensive. It's like $3 for a night.
Yeah, I mean that's super expensive. But I mean, you look at it, you'll probably keep it all weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and return it on Monday morning. So that's 3 nights. So $9 for one weekend. That's not awful.
No,
If you're just trying to test it out, I don't think. I don't know. That's
yeah.
Well, I mean, in some cases, I mean, it's like kind of surpassing the buying game price, because, you know, I've played through video games in my childhood by renting video games instead of like actually buying the game at full price and and actually playing through it and owning the video game. And, you know, once I play through the video game, I just don't care about it anymore.
But I think that's why a lot of gamers or games now, game developers are looking at this, you know, game as service or service. What is that called? Game as service, I think. Games as service. Boy, I wish I remember the term. But basically that you might be able to beat the game, but then they'll come out with like a patch that will include like brand new levels or DLC that will, you know, basically extend the life of the game. And that the idea is that, one, you just don't play the game and then beat it and then, you know, either return it or sell it. But 2, that this is constantly on your mind and that you're constantly playing the game. And then when new DLC come out, that you talk to your friends and say, hey, this is really cool. You should go get it now because it has a new DLC for it.
So is that fair? Like, is it fair to charge people that have bought a game for getting a DLC to get a DLC? Like there are some games that will release updates, and whoever's bought the game, they get that update if they've bought the game. And there are some games where you have to buy it.
I know Call of Duty. You still have to buy some certain maps, right? I know
Yeah.
that's how they used to be.
I know in Horizon Zero Dawn, there's an update that you had to buy.
Yeah, the Breath of the Wild. No, it's something about the wild.
Well, I mean, did you have to pay for the Breath of the Wild update to get the to get all those that new DLC?
Yeah, it was
Yes.
like $20.
Yeah, see, like you paid for Breath of the Wild, you should be able to get everything that game offered.
Yeah, but
But
But in
Some
my eyes, you're
people, when
paying
they-
for the game as it exists when you pay for it.
Yeah, and 2, that's an entirely different discussion, in my opinion as well. Only because technology's grown, and which means it's much more expensive to actually make a game now, especially at the AAA level. And if you've noticed, the price of a game itself has not changed in about like 10 to 15 years, and so developers do have to find ways to try and make up the cost, no matter how big or how popular a game is. So that's different, I think, in my opinion. And as Chris said, you're also paying for the game when it comes out at that moment.
yeah. So maybe a future topic.
Yeah,
Indeed.
so you do have me there. You're paying as is because I mean, I know with Breath of the Wild, I know I kind of put out a little bit of steam on there, but that's a whole new story of missions right there.
Some of it is. Sometimes you'll get, I mean, not to go too much off topic, but sometimes like Mario, Super Mario Odyssey just came out with a new add-on that was the Luigi balloon something or whatever. And that, I don't think that cost anything. That was just free, but it wasn't much. I don't think there's not a whole new storyline. There's more stuff you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you have to pay for the Super Mario stuff, which I mean, I think Nintendo's really good about gauging whether or not us as consumers should pay DLC or not. So props to them for realizing what we as a consumer want and are willing to pay for as well. But I do think we're getting into the territory that's not what we originally intended, as far as what we feel like, is it fair or not as consumers. When a product is released, is it fair for it to drop after it comes out as opposed to pre-ordering? Me personally, at this point, in the gaming society we live in today, I usually wait till the game drops. I don't pre-order anymore at all, because honestly, I know instead of paying $60, I can pick up a game for $44 easy. I don't have to pay $60.
I guess
Yeah,
in some
okay.
cases it is advantageous to get you're paying for the advantage to get into the game early on as opposed to later on. And I mean, I guess that kind of depends on the game.
Oh no, yeah, I'm sure it depends on the game because, like, let's say it's story game. You're not going to pre-order a story game. You would be more apt to pre-order a competitive online game to where you can get better before more people get on the server.
Right.
I know, in my opinion, I'm with Carrington. I don't pre-order a lot of games, not just because I don't want to pay the full $60, but because I don't want to waste a whole $60. Like if a game's not getting reviews that I like, I'm not gonna invest in it. So for me, my thoughts on is it fair that it drops? I mean, to the gamer, no, but you gotta have business. Like I'm full capitalism, baby. So you gotta ebb and flow of the market. And I can see where they're coming from when those things drop.
Chris, what are your final thoughts?
Really, I mean, I was sitting here kind of looking at some like old school Toys R Us ads just to kind of compare. Everybody whines about a $50-$60 game now, but I'm not sure exactly when this ad came out. But Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 was a $70 Super Nintendo game.
What?
Yeah,
$70, dang.
$70 for NBA Hang Time, $70 for Street Fighter Alpha 2.
Ninja Gaiden was pretty high too when it came out, right?
$70?
I don't know these off the top of my head, really. But
Yeah.
I mean, games have always been expensive. You've always kind of had the price drops there. It's the only difference now, really, in my eyes, is that when the price drops, it also comes with patches with the game and new things being added, a Game of the Year edition with all of the DLC when they release it. And back, 94, 95, 96, it was you just get the game for cheaper, but you're getting the exact same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that for myself, I think that the only reason I would be an early adapter and buy the game up front is because at full price. Because one, my friends are playing it and I want to play the game with them, or two, be part of that water cooler talk. But majority of my games, I'm gonna wait and buy them used because I just can't afford to keep buying new games like that. But I do see that early adapters, if it's an online game, they're going to be way more advanced than I'm going to be. And that's the part that I'm going to lose out on, right? Is the fact that if I want to play games with my friends and I want to keep up with them, I'm going to have to be an early adapter.
Well, I think we've all said what can be said on this topic. I'm sure we have much more to say. Keep on going all night. But I think we have said enough on this topic for today. Maybe we can further discuss it in another episode, or even I think today we've discovered more topics we can explore even today. So as we close out, starting with Daniel, where can we find you online? Name of your show, and we're going to start from looking at the Discord top to bottom.
All right. Again, my name is Daniel James Barker. I'm one of 2 co-hosts of Game Science. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, Instagram. On SoundCloud, just look for Game Science, the podcast, and you'll find us there. Look up Game Science Podcast on all of those social media, and you can find Game Science, the podcast, on iTunes. And yeah, go ahead and listen to us. We talk about video games, and we break them down, try to find out how feasible they are. A relatively new podcast, but I think you will enjoy us. And with that, on to the next person.
And I'm Carrington from Real Dudes Podcast. I'm one of 4 hosts on that show. We cover mostly independent video games. You can find us at all your favorite podcasting apps. You can, if you want to follow us, you can go ahead and follow us at Twitter, @RealDudes_pod, and then Facebook and Twitter, or Facebook and Instagram is Real Dudes Podcast. Right now, it's our 2-year anniversary month, so we're doing something special. We're trying to do something special every week, so just keep an eye out. We have some exciting stuff up and coming. I've got 2 interviews I'm conducting this week alone, and we're going to do something very special April 30th, and I think you guys will enjoy it. I just wrote a script, and we will see what happens with it. And next is...
What's up? I'm Tyler. I'm from Better Than Static. We are a conversational comedy podcast, and we focus a lot on nerd culture. So that's anywhere from video games, movies, to comics, and anywhere in between. We hit all of the subjects. We try to make you laugh, help you out on the morning commute. It's me and my 2 co-hosts, which are my 2 best friends since kindergarten. Come by and have a laugh with us. We're expanding. We're trying to get more interviews and more guests on the show, so be on the lookout for that. Any updates you want to hear about us, we are on Facebook, facebook.com/BTstatic, or we're on Twitter @BTstatic. And those are we update those pretty regularly. So if there's any news, you will be filled in right there. To listen to our podcast, you can check us out on Podbean. Our website is betterthanstatic.podbean.com. And we are on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and we put out a lot of YouTube content, and that ranges from our podcast to our gameplay. So, and then any Comic-Con coverage we do. And we will be at Marble City Comic-Con. So if you're there, hit us up. We will be doing some press coverage, and we'd love to see you guys. And then I will pass it to whoever is next.
All right, so again, I'm Chris from Play Comics. We take comic books and then look at the video games based on them, see how close do they stick to that source material. Some of them do pretty good job, like Batman, the movie, the game. Some of them don't do a very good job at all, like all of the 2600 things. I mean, seriously. Any of the Superman games. I mean, definitely go check it out. I've got guests on there. I know we've got some really exciting guests lined up, some of which you've heard tonight, some of which are a complete surprise to people, but you're going to love it. You can find us over on Twitter @PlayComicsCast. Technically, there's a Facebook group that I kind of need to get that going a little bit better. That falls on me, but you can search for Play Comics Podcast and find that there. Or you can go catch everything at playcomics.com.
All right, and my name is Roger. I'm from the Gamerheads podcast. We're a bi-weekly show that talk about hot topics, similar to actually the format of this show. And we also have a game developer and a guy that runs a game store on the show as well, so different perspectives of that. So you can catch us on Podbean. You can go to gamerheadspodcast.podbean.com and get all our newest episodes there. You can also follow us on Twitter @GamerheadsPC or email us at gamerheadspodcasts@gmail.com. This group also is part of the Crossplay Compatible Network, and you can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/crossplaycompatible. We'll have podcasts running on there, different shows of ours, and also live streams and Let's Plays and other things as well. So, yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and thanks you guys for meeting up on Wednesday night.
You're welcome.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, it's always a great time to hang out with y'all.
Yeah, this is fun. All right, thanks everybody, and we'll catch you later.
Peace.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry. We should keep that in.
Bye,
I
Craig.
had Craig ready to leave, and then I left him just so I could have that in the recording. Also, background recording is.